But we also have some breaking news, and the Prime Minister has announced what he's going to do to address concerns about the prisoner early release scheme, which he suspended, if you remember, last month upon entering Downing Street. Well, let's bring in our political correspondent, Lucy McDade. Welcome, Lucy. What are we hearing then?
Yeah, so of course that controversial early release scheme, as you were saying, tonight, Number 10 confirming that rape and serious child sex offences and grooming gang offences, they will be exempt from that early release scheme. So anyone, any individual...
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think
that category won't be eligible for early release? And that scheme was due to start from September. Andy Burnham saying tonight that he doesn't feel comfortable. I've spoken to ministers this evening who say they don't feel comfortable with any prisoners being released early, but ultimately they have an issue with prison capacity, don't they? So Andy Burnham has said, I want to be honest, I wanted to go even further, as I know there will still be concerns about other offenders having their sentence shortened, but it's not possible without the prison system reaching capacity and collapsing, which would put public safety at much greater risk. Now, we saw, didn't we, that prisons were almost at max capacity before the general election in 2024. Labour came in, they had to release prisoners then, and we've seen backlash, haven't we, from so many people, politicians, but victims as well. And even tonight with this announcement, there will be victims really, really unhappy. The victim domestic abuse commissioner, for example, tonight saying that it's wrong. Andrew Harper's widow, the Thames Valley police officer who was killed in 2019, she has already come out this evening saying that this is appalling. Interestingly, in this Number 10 press release, there are a number of things, I think, to pick up on. The first batch of early releases will be delayed until October. Andy Burnham saying that that will give probation officers time to prepare. It will give victims more time to be notified, get the support that they need. Also, Andy Burnham saying what a number of people have actually been suggesting to him, that he should free up space on the women's prison estate. He says he'll look at that. And also review these outdated IPP sentences, which I know you guys have covered with your newspapers plenty of times, that many people have been calling for a long time. Well,
this is indefinite sentences.
Yeah, indefinite sentences that were abolished many years ago, but still I think over a couple of thousand people still in prison having served those sentences. So a couple of things there that Andy Burnham is saying that he'll look at to try and ease things even more.
The government could be about to move a foreign criminal next door to you. Foreign criminals are being moved into taxpayer-funded asylum accommodation across Britain because Labour is just not deporting them. A bombshell investigation by the Daily Express revealed that 1,500 convicted foreign criminals are now living in taxpayer-funded asylum accommodation indefinitely. You are paying for a foreign criminal to be given a house. You also need to be aware that the government did everything in its power to stop you finding out about this. They repeatedly denied multiple Freedom of Information requests from the Daily Express, and they were ultimately forced into revealing the true nature of this utter scandal by the Information Commissioner. Now, I want to give you some examples of exactly how this could work in practice.
Keep you still for now. Yeah.
Yes, that's the Sudanese illegal immigrant who was sentenced to 2 years in prison for wandering into a school with a knife, a hammer, a hatchet and half a litre of petrol. Now, because he's already served more than a year on remand, he's actually eligible for release this week, potentially. Now, I'd bet good money he won't be deported. So there is a very good chance they'll just move him back into an HMO somewhere in the country. There will likely be people in that area with kids. They won't be told about him moving in there. It doesn't bear thinking about what could happen, does it? Now, what about this guy?
Englishman, Nigel Pasa, don't talk about me. You not know me. I come to England because I want marriage with your sister. Don't talk about me more. I gonna come to England. I gonna mother.
Madder Passer, the bloke who threatened to kill Nigel Farage and forcefully marry his sister. He's in prison, and we're able to see exactly how he's getting on in there because for a while he was even posting videos on an illegal phone from behind bars. Nice chap. reformed character, I think. He could be released around April next year. Now, he's from Afghanistan. It's unlikely he'll be deported. So where will he go? Almost definitely into a taxpayer-funded HMO. So you wake up one morning and an Afghan criminal guilty of making threats to kill with an AK-47 tattooed on his face is your new neighbour. Fantastic. There is a real and present danger of allowing people who've had their asylum claims rejected and who know that they have nothing to lose and who now have a resentment against this country, like, you know, we sent them to prison, to live amongst us. There's a real danger about letting them do that. Take the example of the illegal immigrant who tried to blow up the largest maternity hospital in Europe, Liverpool Women's Hospital. He had his asylum claim rejected. He didn't want to go back to Iraq. He was angry with Britain, despite the Church of England trying to vouch for him. And he wanted to kill military veterans. But when he failed, he just wanted to blow himself up in a building full of women and newborn babies. There is a total of around 35,000 asylum seekers in HMOs across the UK and just shy of 69,000 across the total taxpayer-funded dispersal accommodation system, which will include single-occupant properties like bedsitters, etc. There are also around 20,000 foreign criminals living across Britain. I suspect the true number is much, much higher. Now, the government is playing roulette with our lives, and it's important to cut through the BS being pushed out by Labour on this.
Badenoch erupts as Burnham's prisoner release U-turn leaves victims' families betrayed again. Right, so here's a story that's got Westminster absolutely buzzing this week. And honestly, once you hear the details, you'll understand why a political row has exploded between the Conservative leader and the Prime Minister himself over a decision that's left the family of a murdered police officer feeling like they've been kicked while they're already down. There's fury, there's heartbreak, and there's a government trying to defend a policy that even its own critics inside the justice system are calling demoralising. Before we get into the meat of this, if you're new here, welcome to Britain Underneath, the channel that goes past the headlines and actually tells you what's happening in this country. No spin, no filter. If that sounds like your kind of thing, hit subscribe now, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming in this one. Right, let's dive in. So here's the background. The government has been sitting on a plan to release prisoners early, all in the name of easing overcrowding in Britain's jails. It's called the Sentencing Act scheme, and the idea, on paper, is simple enough. The prisons are full, something has to give, so certain offenders get let out before their full term is up. Sounds manageable in theory. In practice, it's landed like a bomb in the middle of British politics, because of exactly who ends up walking free under this scheme. The Prime Minister moved to soften the blow this week, announcing that rapists, serious child sex offenders, and groomers would now be excluded from early release. On the surface, that reads like a win, like the government finally listened. But scratch beneath that headline, and you'll find the real story. The one that's got families of victims absolutely devastated all over again. Because here's the thing. Violent killers are still on that list. Men who have terrorised their partners are still on that list. And 2 of the men convicted over the death of a young police officer are still eligible to walk free in October. Let's talk about that case for a second, because it's the one anchoring this entire row. Back in August 2019, a 28-year-old officer was responding to what should have been a routine call, a stolen quad bike in a quiet part of Berkshire. He ended up trapped in a strap attached to the back of a getaway car and dragged along a country road as the suspects fled. He died from his injuries. He was 28 years old. The driver of that car received 16 years and won't be affected by any of this. But the 2 men who were passengers, convicted of manslaughter and each handed 13 years, would become eligible for release after serving just half their sentence. Half. That's the detail that set this whole row alight. Now, before we go further, quick reminder, if you're finding this valuable, tapping that subscribe button genuinely helps this channel keep doing what it does, digging past the press releases and giving you the full picture. It costs nothing, it takes 2 seconds, and it means a lot. Right, back to it. The officer's mother has been painfully open about what this decision has done to her family. Speaking publicly, she described the feeling of having to fight the justice system all over again, a feeling like they'd let their son down simply by existing in a system that keeps moving the goalposts. She said it feels like they're paying the price for a decision that was never about her son in the first place, that the prison system was on the edge of collapse and something had to give, and her family became the collateral. She said she was contacted directly and given an apology from the Justice Secretary, but an apology doesn't undo a sentence, and she's made clear she isn't finished fighting this, that sitting back and accepting it simply isn't an option for her. Then there's the officer's widow, who didn't hold back either, describing the early release of her husband's killers as nothing short of a betrayal, a level of disrespect toward victims and their loved ones that she says is beyond contempt. Strong words, but when you hear the full story, you start to understand exactly where that anger is coming from. And then, of course, there's the political firestorm. The Conservative leader wasted no time going straight for the Prime Minister, accusing him of expecting praise for a decision she's calling only a partial climb down. Her argument is straightforward, that killers, violent offenders, and men who've terrorised their partners are still walking free come October, no matter how the government tries to dress it up. She's laid out an alternative approach, one built around building more prison capacity, renting spaces abroad, and removing foreign criminals from British jails altogether as the supposed fix to the overcrowding crisis, instead of releasing dangerous men early. Right, quick pause. Before we carry on, if this kind of breakdown is exactly what you come to this channel for, now's the moment to subscribe. Britain Underneath is built for people who actually want to understand British politics, not just scroll past it. Hit that button. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Okay, let's keep going, because there's more to this. Even senior figures inside policing have come out against the decision. The chief constable overseeing the force the murdered officer served in didn't mince his words, saying he was beyond disappointed that the government pressed ahead despite overwhelming public backlash.